are live. Hey everybody, my name is Wes.
My name is Matt.
Matt, we're talking about email, more specifically Church Email Bootcamp.
Church Email Bootcamp, getting into all the details about how to best craft an email that's in a subject line that makes it more likely to be read.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on in emails, and we're going to have so much fun. And what's funny is, we originally, Matt, were going to do this just on the email builder. But the truth is, you can build the most beautiful email and do all those things right, but if you don't have a good subject line, you don't send it at the right time, and you don't send it to the right segment, well, it can be all for nothing. And so we've got to cover all that stuff today. But before we start covering all of those things, welcome, everybody. We're having this happen live. If you're watching in the future, which this will be posted later, you obviously can't participate live, but you can always reach out to our support team if you have questions. But a couple resources I just want to remind all of y'all on. First and foremost, if you'd like to watch videos like this one. We have, definitely like it. But we have so many videos on our YouTube channel. Check those out. Everything from how to use particular features in our software to our previous live streams and so much more. And Matt, tell them about our Facebook group.
Yeah, by the way, everybody, we have a live chat open so you can send questions and discuss with us as we go along. I'm dropping links in the chat right now for the YouTube channel and the Facebook group. We have a private group of other ChurchTrac users. We would love to see you join and participate. You can ask questions, get feedback from other ChurchTrac users and advice. It's a great community, so definitely click that link and request to join.
Yeah, and last but not least, I mentioned this a little earlier, y'all, but if you ever have any questions using ChurchTrac, whether it's this church email builder, we're going to be showing off some today, or using text or whatever it may be, just create a support ticket, reach out to our team, we'll help you out. Plus, we have an entire user guide you can check out with videos and galore, all that good stuff. All right. Well, Matt, I thought it would be kind of fun and also slightly ridiculous to use an acronym for today.
Okay. I'm interested. What is it?
So it is SOUL.
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 Okay.
You got soul?
We got soul. I don't have a lot of soul. I'm kidding.
Well, and really what we're covering is, so in terms of soul, when it comes to having an email that has soul, we're talking about sending to the right segment. Because you don't want to just send to everybody all the time.
So S is for segment.
S is for segment. Talking about emails that actually get opened.
O is for opened.
Which we'll talk about subject lines because that's really what dictates whether or not someone's going to open your email. Then we're going to talk about sending emails that keep your people updated. The U.
U is for updated.
Yes, and then the best time to launch your email with the L. And we'll have some pro tips too that I think will be really valuable for everybody. And we'll have a dedicated Q&A at the end as well, where we'll just answer your questions at the end.
So definitely hang tight.
Yeah, if you're asking us a bunch of questions in the chat, we're probably not going to see them. And by the way, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we're not monitoring that live, so just keep that in mind. Okay, well, Matt, let's go ahead. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about segmenting emails, aka making sure we send emails to the right people.
Yes. Okay. So first of all, there are 3 reasons to segment your emails. First is relevance. The email has to be relevant because that's what drives engagement.
Yeah.
Like if I get an email about the women's ministry at my church, what is the likelihood I'm going to open it?
It's not relevant to you, man.
It's not relevant to me at all. And also relevance prevents inbox fatigue is something that you mentioned earlier. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah, basically you get to a point where people just, the email inbox for everybody, it's a war zone, man.
Yeah.
And there are so many emails and people just get fatigued out when you start sending them way too many emails as a church. And so making sure you segment emails gives you the ability to send, you may send out a lot of emails throughout the week, but you're not sending it to those same people every single time. You may be only sending to that particular person twice in the week, but you may have sent out like 4 emails that week, depending on who you're sending. And then the last thing is just yielding better results, because when we are segmenting our emails, we're sending to the right person, the right message to the right person at the right time and all that, we're going to get better results.
Yeah, like relevance equals engagement and engagement equals better results.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. But in terms of segmenting, let's talk about how we can do this in the software.
Okay, so let's show off. In the People and Family screen in ChurchTrac, click the messaging tab at the very top. That's where you'll see all of the messages that you can send out to your people. And in emailing, you can just select that email option, but there's that choose who to include section in the bottom left-hand corner. This is where you can select which audience at your church is going to receive that email.
Yeah.
But you can customize the list of options here. And to do that, all you have to do is go to the Setup tab at the very top of the screen and either create a group or a smart list. So we have to talk about the difference between groups and smart lists.
I get asked this question all the time. What is the difference, in 30 seconds or less, the difference between groups and smart lists, Matt?
So a group is a label. We actually used to call them tags. They're a label that you can create and then assign to your people based on how they're participating at your church. So you can create a group for every small group, Sunday school class, Bible study, team or role at your church, program, ministry, whatever you've got going on, create a group for it and then assign that group to the people that are serving in that group. A smart list is automated. That's why we call them smart, first of all.
Yeah.
You create a list. You don't have to manually add that list. You don't have to manually update it. You just create the criteria. So you set whatever criteria has to be met for a person to be in that list, and then our system will sort everyone into that list for you. So it's automated. That's the difference between a group and a smart list. A group, you have to manually apply to your members. A smart list automatically sorts them into that list.
And so for a lot of times we're sending emails, we're going to lean towards smart lists a lot, but just to quickly show everybody, you can leverage the groups because maybe you want to send an email out very quickly to all of your elders, perhaps. I think I already have one for my elders, so there we go. And I can select elder, and then I can send out an email to everybody in that group of elders.
Or everybody in this small group or something like that.
Yes, which is so perfect, especially if something is an important announcement for a particular group of people at your church.
Yeah.
But I think smart lists are going to be used the most by churches in an email setting.
Yeah, on a week-to-week basis. Yeah, especially as you're sending an email newsletter or some sort of recap. I know my church, we get a Sunday recap, Sunday service, Sunday message recap every Monday.
Yeah.
So that's to everybody. That's not to a specific group.
Yeah.
But then you can also have lists for your men's ministry, women's ministry, and so forth. So that's where smart lists really come into play.
And so I want to show off at just creating a smart list in real time, real fast, because it's so important. I know a lot of you are like, Wes, I want to talk about building emails. This is super important. So adding a smart list real fast, and I'm just going to call this our men's ministry. I already made this one, but I want to show again how this is built.
Sure.
So here we go, men's ministry. I start adding this criteria. And so my first criteria is going to be that the gender equals male. And so there we go, gender equals male, save. Now, if I stopped on this would email everybody at our church that's male.
Yeah.
Thing is,
men and children.
Yeah, I don't want to send out an email to the junior high and high schoolers that we may have emails for because they're not in our men's ministry, unless your church maybe wants to include them for a particular event. But I can start adding out this criteria, and I can say, well, the age category is not going to equal, and then I can say 0 to 1. Although if we have an email for a 1-year-old, I think you have other problems at your church. But then I can just continue this process, age category and doesn't equal. Now I've already built this out just so you can see everybody in real time here, but here is my smart list of my men's ministry where they have to be a man and they cannot be in any of these age categories. So no high schoolers, middle schoolers, preteens,
so from
elementary.
0 through 18.
Yeah, so my men's ministry at my church is not including 18 below. And so they have to match all that criteria. So they cannot be in one of the these age groups. So that's a really important thing. So that way I can send out an email. It goes to all the men in our men's ministry. When we go to that messaging tab and we choose who to include, I can just go ahead, search men's ministry, and there it is. And now I'm ready to rock and send out that email to
just the men at the church.
Just the men. So that's really step one of having soul in our emails.
It is. You have to, before you can get into creating and crafting emails, you have to lay the groundwork for who's going to receive it. So that's why that's important. So why don't we then talk about the first thing that you have to write in a good email that's going to get opened, and that's the subject line.
Yes.
You're kind of a pro on this, so I'm going to let you take this.
I will just say I'm really good at researching that and just kind of understanding what works.
Come on, man. You just use ChatGPT.
But so here's a stat. Everyone needs to know this stat. You ready? 88% of people, they check their email daily. I'm going to say that again. 88% of people
88%.
check their email daily. And that wasn't a stat that I just like asked ChatGPT to create. I know because some of you are thinking, would you just ask ChatGPT? No, that was from Constant Contact. And Constant Contact is one of the world's largest mass emailing systems out there. That was their stat, and I think I'm going to trust them on that because
they're the industry experts.
They're kind of like with MailChimp, like they know email, that's what they do, and they have all this data to back that up. What that means is, Matt, is most church members, they're going to be checking your newsletter or whatever emails you're sending probably on their phone, often in quick, unplanned moments.
So probably in the bathroom.
Probably in the bathroom.
Just being honest.
I mean, yeah, we got to be honest here. This means that your email, it's got to be mobile optimized. It means it needs to be simple. It needs to be something that's going to engage. And all this starts at the subject line.
Okay. So in terms of church communication, the best subject lines follow 3 very simple rules. Rule number 1 is you need to make that subject line clear, not clever. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be trendy. It just needs to be something that conveys like the basic information that people can expect to find in that email.
Yes.
Number two is to keep it short and scannable. They're going to see that email in their inbox among 100 other emails.
Yes.
It needs to be something that they can quickly find. And that they're like the trick to that is consistency. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
And then rule number 3 is to create curiosity or urgency. So like instead of, well, we'll get into that a little bit deeper, but you say something that creates a little bit of curiosity or makes it urgent for them to read it now rather than later.
And my church does such an amazing job at this. So the church I go to, we're called Christian Family Chapel, and our emails we do weekly newsletter, and we call it the Chapel Chat.
The Chapel Chat.
Which I love it.
See, there's the consistency I was talking about.
Yes. Yeah, so let me show I actually took a screenshot just like of a bunch of the most recent emails that my church has been sending out. So obviously the first thing is our church, but then Chapel Chat is what our church, we've named it. Every single week we send out a newsletter, Chapel Chat, and then we say
and then
something after it.
But that's the scannable.
Yes.
Anybody in the inbox will see Chapel Chat and know exactly, like they can easily find that. It'll stand out to them just because of that consistency.
Yeah, and I told my communications director ahead of time, like I'm showing off our church emails because we do such a great job of that.
Such a good job.
But yeah, so it follows the rules of, like you said, it's being clear, it's not clever. I know exactly what this is. This is my church weekly email newsletter that's coming out with Chapel Chat. It's short and scannable. As you can see, as I scroll through these subject lines here, connection, big thanks. That was when I was telling my communications director, thanks for all this. Sunday Surge and more. Let's go. Near you. So like we are not adding a ton of stuff. This is super scannable. And then the other thing with creating urgency or creating curiosity, like near you. Let's go.
Curiosity, yeah.
And it's just so subtle, and it's not a lot, but it's enough to make me as a reader be like, near me. What's near me? I want to read and see.
Exactly.
And I just rhymed.
But it's also like relevant to the content that's in that email.
Yes. And being relevant to the content in the email is so important, because if you keep duping people and constantly like saying something ridiculous in a subject line that means nothing with your email, people are going to tune that out, man.
Yeah, like a bad subject line can make the difference between getting the majority of recipients to open it and read it versus no one opening it and reading it.
Yeah.
So we have to talk about the 7 deadly sins of church subject lines.
And I tell you what, I should have made like a really like pretty thing, Matt, but what I can do in the meantime is I can like post this up on the big screen of the TV here, because I want to do this. So as we talk about it, let me make it full screen so everybody can see this. The 7 deadly sins. There you go.
All right.
7 deadly sins.
So the 7 deadly sins, number 1 is being really vague or clickbaity.
Yes.
So you don't want to scare people. You don't want to bother or annoy people with your subject lines. And you want to avoid things like, you won't believe this. That's what's up there on the script. Just anything really basic like that is just kind of, I don't know, it's almost scammy is what clickbait is in my mind.
Yeah. which kind of going along the line of spammy, is
yes.
using all caps or excessive punctuation. That is a surefire way to get your email to get marked as spam, and then nobody reads it.
Yeah, you have to. We recommend just avoiding all caps altogether.
Yeah.
I won't even say use it sparingly. Just don't do it at all.
Don't. Yeah, that's like don't. The third one, like this actually surprised a lot of church leaders about overusing emojis, Matt.
Well, it shouldn't be surprising, but some people try to do it just to be clever when really you don't need to use emojis really at all. You can maybe throw in one once in a while if it emphasizes something or if it's really urgent, but adding a line of 4 or 5 emojis is super unprofessional. So don't do it. Number 4 is making it about the church's needs first. And this is the one thing that I think catches a lot of church leaders off guard when we talk to them about this.
Whoops.
Just because that's kind of like the instinct is to share what the church needs, or whenever like a church leader is crafting that email, that's what's on their mind. So that's what they put in the subject line. When something that makes it directly about the church's immediate needs actually kind of puts a lot of people off. Our advice is to frame it in a way that like makes it about the recipient, less about what the church needs. So instead of talking about like the example we have in the script is we need volunteers. Well, the reason why that doesn't work is because if you think back to when you were in youth group, I can remember back when I was in youth group, and the church, like the youth pastor would ask for volunteers to pray. Well, if you didn't feel comfortable doing that, you'd like avert your eyes.
Yes.
And you just not make eye contact with them, because if no one volunteered, but they made eye contact with the kid, they just say, all right, you're doing it.
Yeah.
So having a subject line like we need volunteers guarantees that no one's going to read it, because they don't want to have that eye contact. they want to avert their eyes and be like, oh, I didn't see that, and have that plausible deniability when they don't want to sign up and volunteer. So framing it as let's make an impact at the fall festival generates some excitement and some urgency. Hey, we have this upcoming event. It's big. It's the fall festival, and we need your help. That's the way to frame a subject line.
And moving past this, cramming multiple topics into one subject line, it goes against the rule of keeping it simple. And so just finding one subject, it gives clarity. And then which goes back to ignoring length. Yeah,
so that one is we don't want the subject line to be super long, because at least on mobile, it will get cut off.
Yeah.
So keep it under 50 characters.
And then the last one, and Matt, this one, spelling errors.
Yes.
So part of the joys of, what we get to do behind the scenes is we see a lot of stuff happening with what churches send out. And so I oftentimes will see church emails before they go out to their people and everything. And I'm talking churches all around the world. I can't tell you how many times a week I see spelling errors where a church leader will send out an email to their entire congregation with egregious spelling errors. And sometimes they'll make spelling errors in which it will cause those email providers to see that spelling error and think, well, this is probably spam, because that's a big dead giveaway. A lot of times when people, not to pick on Nigeria, but when you got the, scammers from Nigeria wanting to send an email to the church members,
English
trying
is
to
their
fish them.
second language.
It is their second language.
Spelling and grammar errors are common. So spam filters catch that, see that, and go, oh, that person's probably a scammer, and divert that away. Yeah, and I actually witnessed a church 2 weeks ago. They used "Let's go" in all caps with 3 exclamation marks using multiple O's. They broke 3 rules, Matt, and how their account didn't actually get shut down from the email providers did surprise me. So this leads me to a pro tip, and I think it's a really great pro tip. Now, some of y'all are going to be like, Wes, I don't feel good about this pro tip. I'm just going to throw this out there. Using AI for spell checking?
For spell checking,
perfectly fine.
I do this now. Before I send an email out to tens of thousands of churches, I'm using AI to just say, hey, I don't want you to correct my, all the things. I just want you to spell check this. Because a lot of times, if you're crafting an email, maybe you don't have time to have someone read it and everything, because you want to get this done and move on to the next thing. So just leveraging AI to proofread your emails, that's a really good thing. Yeah, I know we're worried that AI will get something wrong. And it does often in complex answers to complex questions, but for spell checking and grammar, it's on point. So you can rely on it for that. All right, so let's talk about crafting the email itself. Yes, that's when we get into our email
The actual builder itself, because people reading your emails, they're not wanting to get educated, they're wanting to simply be updated. They want just some quick information so that they stay up to date on what's going on at the church. So this is where our email builder really shines. And you've done a really great deep dive into this tool, so why don't you lead everybody through it?
Yeah, so in terms of the email builder in ChurchTrac, you have a few options. You have the editor and the builder. The editor is where you can just send out like your basic emails with no rich HTML, no pictures or anything. You're just trying to send quick things to people, or you're maybe wanting to put in your own code and go crazy. You can do that. But our builder that we have in ChurchTrac, what this enables you to do is actually build emails by adding all the different sections and things. But you can also use pre-built templates, which I really love. I love this because I can go through here and just look at our pre-built templates and start seeing, okay, like what kind of email do I want to send out here? And I've got like an event announcement, prayer request. What's this one? Modern newsletter, basic newsletter, whereas this one's just basic text. If you want to kind of go with the in-between route, you know, basic text, but you still want it to have your header and all that fun stuff. Or I can use this one, a 2-column newsletter, an image newsletter.
Oh, that's what I would probably go for personally. That's what I love to see in a newsletter.
And what's so great is you can say, all right, I want to select this template. This action will replace your current one. Yeah, boom, there you go. And now I can start going wild with this. And it actually put in my church logo from here as well. And the way you do that, everybody, just in case you didn't know, if you go to settings in ChurchTrac and you go to your admin settings, we have this bulk email settings option here. And this is where you can actually put in your church's logo for your email builder if you're wanting to leverage that. So really helpful. But going back to sending out emails, so back to our people screen, to messaging, to the email tab, I can start really just customizing my email here. And I can go on here and just like really do anything. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, you just click on that element in the email builder, and from there you can make whatever edits you need, whether it be like changing the color of that button or the text in that button, adding a URL so that when people click on the button, it actually works and takes them where they need to go. All of that can be done here very easily. And then for any of the sections, if you hover your mouse over that section, there is a little toolbar at the very top for adding content. So there are some other elements that like a header or an image or another button. As you're taking this template, we already have it structured pretty well for what you're looking for. But if you want to tweak it a little further or add some more stuff to it, you can do that way.
Yeah, and it's really like as you start typing out things on here, you'll see it's super fast to just start building out your emails and still doing the things like, you know, if I want to put in, you know, first name, you know, and then I can just say, don't forget, you know, whatever it is I'm trying to tell people about.
So that way it's personalized. It just injects the recipient's first name into the very beginning so that when they see it, they know it's directed at them, even though you're writing something broadly for a large audience.
Yeah. And adding your images. And that's the beauty too, is being able to go in here, quickly add images, whether you're going to use your own images, which I highly recommend. Yeah,
highly recommend.
But if you have a situation, you're like, I just want to tell everybody about the cookout or something like that, or barbecue, like I can search cookout and I could probably find a bunch. Yeah, so like this is really great for churches that are just, I would quickly want to send out an email. You're not as concerned with branding and everything. It's more so like about events and stuff like that. Leverage these free images through our Igniter Media integration there to help you and just save you time. But yeah, you definitely do want to upload your own images. But just to kind of show off, I want to show one particular one I built, Matt.
Okay.
So going back to templates, I'll just select use a template. And I have one called My Newsletter here. So I'll select this template. I love it. Like it's in there ready to go. And I think most churches going this is going to be the route they go. They create their template and they save it. And then from here, they can just keep reusing it every week. And then obviously, you know, changing things like the image, changing the content and everything. And so for this particular template I've got here, I've got my feature image. I'm personalizing with that person's first name because that makes them that much more likely to open it when they see their name in the body of the email. And then just a little quick blip about this Saturday is our annual beach baptism. We're planning on baptizing over 25 people as always, blah, blah, blah. Register for the event. So I'm providing a call to action for people. And then as people scroll through, they can see other stuff. And so sermon recap. and we've got a little listen now. So it's like a little blip about that. And at any time, I could easily just edit this, select it, change it over to the next thing. I love this, and just how fast it is. Like, it really is something that I think is going to save a lot of church leaders an absurd amount of time as they create their email newsletters. And the thing that's so great about this too is you can really get highly visual and try to urge people to do things like download your church app, for example. I've got that here. And so when I send out this email, everybody, as they scroll through that email, is going to see that. And what's cool is, like, you can make images go to a link.
Yes.
And so I would actually link this to, like, our church app link. So then that way, when that person's on their iPhone or Android device, it doesn't matter. It's going to automatically take them to the App Store to download the church app.
Fist pumping the air right now just because that's how great this is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just super cool. I mean, how wild you can get with this and building things, Matt. And I would say probably one of the most common things I'm seeing with churches that I would say do email really well is just the level of consistency in their church newsletters. We'll talk more about, like, timing and stuff like that. But in terms of, like, their newsletter, they have different content every week when they're doing a weekly newsletter, but the overall layout is the same. The branding is always consistent. And, like, one thing my church has been doing for a while that I think is really, really, really creative, and also just something that kind of gets people to interact more, is at the bottom of our emails, we have, like, an online giving, a connect card, and a prayer request. It's like the same thing every week for the most part. Mm-hmm. And so that way it always makes that readily available to people. And I think that's the beauty of this, is that it stomps your regular email of just your basic text and just opens up a whole new world of communication and also customization.
Yeah, which makes it fun.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, now that we've built an email and we've segmented it. There's too many did-its in that phrase. Let's talk about actually sending it. So why don't you dive into that?
So this is the last L of our soul, is launching it. And when it comes to launching emails, here's the thing, Matt. You can have the best segment. Like, you segmented your people exactly the way you wanted. Yeah. You can have the best subject line in the world. You can go through and have ChatGPT help you create the most amazing, perfect subject line. And you can spend all this time in the email builder building the most magical email with beautiful images and all the things. But if you send an email at the wrong time, you're probably not going to have many people read it.
Yeah. But what's the best time to send an email?
There is none.
That's the tough part. There's not like there's no silver bullet for this. There's not one set time to send an email that's the right time for all churches everywhere. You have to understand your church's context and what your members prefer. It may take some asking or some surveys, or it could also just be you trying out a few different times over the course of a few months just to see what works best.
Yeah, and that's something my church had to do when they started getting deep in it. And over time, like what worked 5 years ago didn't work then. And like we even saw this in COVID, man, where like people, their habits radically changed because so many people were remote life. And so they were always on their computers at home. And so just constantly having our finger on the pulse of like what's going on in our congregation. And it really comes down to like, all right, Matt, is this email an announcement about an event coming up? Well, we probably want to send that depending on the bigness of the event. Like it may be something we want to send multiple times, and it may be something we want to send like maybe the day before too, if it's like a potluck. Just as a quick reminder, is this email a weekly newsletter? Because
if it's a newsletter, then there needs to be like a consistent time every week.
Yes.
It does sort of matter when, but you have to determine when, but once you determine when, you do it at exactly that time every single week.
I know for my church, every single Thursday, late in the afternoon, evening time, our newsletter's coming into my inbox and I'm reading it. So that's a big one. The other thing too, like, and this is something not to get like morbid here, but like this is a reality of the church and a big reason, like, you know, we come together as a church to help carry each other's burdens. But like things like, did a church member pass away? Like these are the types of emails. Well, you want to send that probably as quickly as possible, especially if there's a funeral coming up. And so it always comes back to like the context. But I will say this. when it comes to like times you shouldn't send emails,
Yes, there are some times you should
there
never.
are some like times you definitely should avoid. Matt, what would be a few of those?
Nighttime, like late in the evening, people aren't checking their emails at 10 or 11 o'clock, or in the middle of the night, and then also Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Friday afternoon.
People are checked out. They are on their way to the beach.
Or it depends too. Like obviously, if your church has something unique happening, and maybe you need to hurry and get a message out on Friday afternoon, that's like the deal combo breaker. But
yeah, like if something's happening Saturday morning, then sure, Friday afternoon makes sense. But for a regular thing, for like a newsletter, not Friday afternoons. Don't do it.
Now let's talk about, Matt, really quick, just scheduling emails, because this is super important. Because I think, and I'll just ask y'all in the chat, I know we haven't really been watching the chat as much, but let me know in the chat, like what time of the day are you building out your newsletter? Are you building out your emails for your church like during business hours? Are you building it out like late at night? You're a night owl? Are you doing it maybe early in the morning? Like you're an early riser and you're crafting an email at 5:45 a.m. Let me know in the chat what time you're building out your church's emails. And that's one thing, especially like for a lot of church leaders, Matt, that are bivocational, that aren't full-time. It's not their full-time gig, or maybe they're part-time. This is a really important thing, to be able to schedule emails, because they need to move on to the next thing. Yeah, so like Zena says 3 p.m. And Brenda, I love that Brenda says we send it every Friday at noon. For Brenda's church, that may actually work really well. It's like hitting people right before they get into weekend mode. But yeah, in terms of scheduling out your emails, when you go to send out your emails with ChurchTrac, so I've got everything ready to rock, and then I go to send it. I had to scroll way down because I have a long email there. You go to send it, and then I can send it now, or I can schedule to send it a later time. And this is so great. And I think every church leader should take full advantage of this. That way you can craft this in your own time, and especially some church leaders that are like super ahead of the ball and like craft emails for an event that's happening in a week, and they go ahead and have that email locked and loaded to launch in 5 days or in a couple weeks, whatever. And so you can do all that. So love it. So definitely leverage that, send it to your people, schedule it with that tool that we've got built into the email builder.
Perfect.
All right, Matt, let's talk about some pro tips real quick. And we have
before
some really
we get into
good
the
ones.
Q&A,
Yeah.
let's knock out a few really good pro tips. So number one is keep images sizes small as possible, because the larger the file size, the longer it takes to load. That never looks good. And it also can even, wouldn't that like hurt your open and read rates, and like hurt your, like even cause some to like get caught in spam?
It won't necessarily cause them to get caught in spam unless you have like weird text going on in that image, because again, the spam filters do check the text in the image and stuff like that for the alt text.
Okay.
But you definitely don't want to be sending out like a 3 megabyte photo in your email. Like
it would take forever.
And one thing, I'll just like show it in Canva as an example, but you can do this in so many, like this is just one of our random templates for Church Connect templates here. These are all images, but like when you go to like save this thing, and I go to download this, and it's giving me the option of file types. Like you probably want to go with JPEG, honestly, because it's just going to be very universally like acceptable in all the different email clients, because there's so many different ways people are viewing email. And then bring that quality down and play around with it. And you can even, I've seen a lot of people just limit it and say, all right, I don't want any of my images to be above 100 kilobytes. And especially on a phone, man, because that image is going to be so tiny anyways, it doesn't need to be high quality.
Yeah.
And when you have just massive honking images in the email, it slows it down. And then if it's taking forever to load, especially if people are like have a bad connection, like we're by an airport here at our office, and when I go to check emails, if I can't get the thing to load, I then kind of forget about it, and then I may never see it again. And so that's a really big reason to have smaller image sizes for it.
All right, number two is linking to videos with images. The reason we say this is because we get a lot of questions from church leaders asking it if they can add a video to an email. And the answer is no. And that's not because of any decision we made. These email platforms just won't support that.
No.
So don't try to add a video. Just link to a video. You can add the video thumbnail as an image to the email, And then if someone clicks or taps on it, it'll then take them to, like, you can add the URL for the YouTube video so that they can watch it there.
And I would say, I'm going to be really ridiculous here, Matt, but I'm going to search puppy on Canva, and I'm going to search a photo. Oh, look at that. There's a photo of a puppy. So I'm going to put a photo of a puppy, all right? This is the way to get your people. If you want your people to watch an email in your video, put a photo. I mean, you can put one of a puppy, but obviously you want to put a photo of maybe your pastor preaching or something from last week, and then you'll.
I don't know. I think they should just use puppies.
And then you'll want to do something like putting a play icon over. Well, except I don't want to do it like that. Hold on.
Just click on it. Don't drag it.
Just click on it, and then I can bring this down. Except that's a terrible play icon I chose because that's a photo.
Okay, it's an example.
Let me use a graphic. That's way better. Okay, so like doing this, so this is just an image with a play icon on it, and that way then I can export this. Obviously I'd want to make this prettier, but you get the idea. Make this clickable. So then when you go to build out your email, so back to our email builder here, and let's say this was this. Like I wanted, instead of summer baptism, I wanted people to watch a video of our previous sermon. This image link right here, that's whenever I put in that YouTube.
Copy and paste it in.
Yeah, the YouTube URL. So then when people go to click that image thinking they can watch the video in the email browser, it's not going to play there. It's going to actually open the link in a new web page. So that's just a little tidbit. Yeah.
All right. Keep it short and leverage links. So don't write a dissertation. You're not writing a blog post in these newsletters. I've seen newsletters where it's like the family Christmas update. I mean, it's long with lots of photos.
Yeah.
You don't need your weekly newsletter to do that. First of all, because you don't need to be spending that much time on a weekly email anyway. But also because most people aren't going to sit down and read a big, long weekly update. They just need some bullet points. And if you need to say more, or if there's more information they need to know, just add to learn more, click here and link to wherever that resource is.
Yeah, and just to show everybody, like this sermon recap here, this is a really good example of this. Last week, we finished our new creation series as we dove deep into Ephesians. This brought up some really good questions that Pastor Jeremy addressed. But we didn't see this coming. Listen now.
Boom.
And what's so funny, Matt, is I straight up used ChatGPT to help me create like a cliffhanger. But many of you are smart enough to where you don't need ChatGPT to do that. So create these quick little snippets that people are going to want to read.
Yes. Number 4 is something that I hammer on a lot. Use Canva. Canva will allow you to have a pro subscription for free, so you can use their full suite of tools. They give that to nonprofits for free. And you can use it to keep your branding very consistent. Like Wes has been hammering on that in these email builder stuff that we've been talking about. So you can use that if you click on that brand button, there. You have your branding assets loaded in so that all you have to do is just click on that color palette and Canva will automatically add some of your church's colors to that image and build that in for you so that everything is really consistent. Just makes that really simple.
This is such a key thing, man. And I think that's why, whether you use Canva or some sort of tool or you just a place that you keep track of, these are all the fonts and font types our churches use. These are all the colors our church uses with the exact hex code, so that way you're consistent. Because then what you can do when you're using the email builder, sorry, I'm lost where I was. So in the email builder here, all my buttons are the same color, and whenever I go to select that color, you can see this is the actual hex code from our church's brand I put in here. So it's really consistent. It looks the exact same way in our emails, it does our website and everything else. And then taking it to the next level, these images right here, if you notice they have a little tinge to them. I actually did a little bit of an overlay because one of our colors for our church is this kind of orangey color.
Yeah.
And so making this image just a little bit orange because that goes with our branding. And then this next one is using just an overlay of a little bit of that blue.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
so, just this stuff really brings it to the next level. And then also just leveraging tools like Canva to do things I created this image using just a quick iPhone mock-up. I literally took a screenshot of our church app, and then I just threw that in there real fast.
Easy.
And churches, Matt, you've said this so many times, but I just really want to reinforce, Canva is free for nonprofits. just reach out to Canva. They have like a whole nonprofit program. But you do need to, as a church, you can't just say like, hey, I want Canva for free. Like that's just not cool with them. And honestly, like it's kind of like not very respectable to just like go to someone and say, I want this thing that you charge people good money for. I want it for free because I think I deserve it. No, you need to tell them, hey, we are a 501c3. We're going to be using this to connect with our community, blah, blah, blah. And they will extend that to you, the Canva Pro subscription for free. And if you want to learn more about that, just check out our user guide. We have a lot of Canva templates for Church Connect, by the way. So when you're building out your church app, we've just done the legwork to make your life easier. So,
and the last pro tip before we get into the Q&A is don't just email. There's no silver bullet or one-size-fits-all approach to communication. Still continue to make announcements from the pulpit with sermon slides, text messages, push notifications. You can do all of that with the messaging tool in ChurchTrac, not just email. And also in-person conversations, all of it.
Yeah, I mean, let me know in the chat, like, how many times have you, like, you sent the email to everybody and you still have someone tell you, I didn't know about that. I didn't know. I mean, it's just the story of our lives, and not just church communications, but just communication in general, Matt, is we have to like say things multiple times, multiple ways, both hearing it and seeing it. And email is just one small, tiny little portion of all of our church communication. Yeah, Diane, all the time.
All the time.
It's just the nature of it. I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation, Matt, with church leaders on the phone, and they're just like, I just don't understand why we can't get more engagement. And I'll be like, well, how are you communicating with your church? Well, I mean, we're sending out our newsletter. Okay, what else are you doing? Well, I mean, that's it.
Everything's there, right?
So definitely leverage, like, and I think that's one of the beauties of ChurchTrac is being that it's all in one and it has all these communication tools built in. Not only, I mean, just to show you the speed of this, everybody, like we send our email, boom. All right, we just sent our email. Now we want to go send out a text message to our people. Boom, I can send out a text from ChurchTrac. Now I want to go send a push notification to everybody using the app. Boom, I can send out that push notification. What's that? I want to send a voice message to all my people who are in the real rural areas in the sticks that just have a landline. I can do that as well, and still telling people via like sermons and stuff like that, and then the videos and sermon slides, all that good stuff. So yeah. All right, well, we've covered so much, Matt. And just to quickly recap, because this is so important, and we've got to just revisit this, going back to the very beginning. Matt, we're talking about sending an email with what?
Segments. That's it. Yes.
No. The whole thing, man.
Oh, soul. Yes.
You
soul.
gotta have soul.
Gotta have
and
soul.
And so everybody, from the very beginning, segment your emails, whether it's, maybe you're sending to all your people, or maybe you're sending to just the guys in the church for a men's event, or the ladies for a women's event. And then you want to send emails that actually get opened, which means having a good subject line, the best subject line. And then you want to update your people, not educate them. And updating with the last one being launch it. Launch your soul, man. Have some soul. All right. Well, we've covered all the things. Now, let's go ahead. Let's just answer people's questions, man. Let's have some fun.
All right, so we are opening up the chat. It's already open. Go ahead and share any questions that you have with us. While you're typing your questions, I'll go ahead and copy and paste links to the YouTube channel. We would love for you to subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on everything that we're posting there. We post videos all the time, especially like user guide stuff, how-to videos to get the most out of ChurchTrac. So make sure you subscribe to that channel. Also join the Facebook group. It's a community of thousands of ChurchTrac users from all over the world that would love to answer questions that you have about ChurchTrac or ministry. So go ahead and join that.
Yeah, and just to reiterate to everyone, because I know some of you are watching on YouTube right now, or you're watching on, there you go, the Facebooks. If you're watching on one of those platforms currently live right now, you won't be able to engage with our Q&A. That's only in the Vimeo link that we send out to everybody. So just want to make sure we're not ignoring you if you send something there. All right, Matt, we have some good stuff. And maybe if we have time, we can even dive into like deeper things, because like obviously we didn't even talk about like automations and all the just sheer absurd power that we have with that and doing things.
There were a couple questions about automations earlier. Diane asked, can we set up recurring donations and another
recurring emails?
Well, yes, I'm sorry, recurring emails. And then another viewer named NJ asked, can the email builder be used in conjunction with automation?
Yeah. So to answer your question, Diane, yes, you can send recurring emails, and you would use automations for that. So in ChurchTrac, you go to your settings and you go to automations. And then from here, this is where you can build out your automations. This is my test account, so half my automations probably are broke at the moment because I've deleted so many things. But basically here, this is where you create it. And so if you're wanting to send out an automation, like I'll just say like new guest follow-up to give an example here. So new guest follow-up. And then here I can say some people automation and then start building it out. And obviously this is getting into the high level stuff here in ChurchTrac, but sending an email to a person and then select and configure, and then I can customize the subject line, thanks for visiting. And then from here I can say hi, and then, the person's first name, and then blah, blah, blah. So this is a big way of how you're going to send like automated emails with ChurchTrac, because then I can set up this particular one to run at specific intervals, or like in this case, it's triggered. And so many of you that are used to terminology like drip campaigns and stuff, this is kind of how you do that with ChurchTrac. And the reason we took this approach is because the needs of a church are just so wildly different than like a business that's sitting. And we've had this conversation with a lot of church leaders, and maybe in the future, things could change. But like when it comes to actually engaging with people, especially in this day and age where AI is like constant chatter, people want human connection. And so setting up like automated emails in certain fashions, they work for business and they work for like, getting people on board in that regard. But when it comes to the church setting, it's more of a human approach. Yeah. And so we do have to be very careful about how we want to automate emails and set up drip campaigns. But you can do a lot of this type of automation in the automations tab in ChurchTrac.
Okay. Zena asked earlier, same question as Paula Hachen. How is push notification different than a text? It's something that we kind of casually threw out there earlier. So text is a text message, an SMS message to all of your members. A push notification is a notification that is sent through the Church Connect app.
Yep.
So your account, you get an app called Church Connect. Your members can download that app. If they create an account there as a member, you can then send them push notifications like they would get through any other of the apps on their phone. Another big difference is push notifications are free. Text messages do come with a fee of 3 cents per recipient. And to answer another question related to that, yes, there is a fee for text. There is no fee for email. One of you asked, what's the cost of email? Totally free. There's no charge for sending emails.
And I think we kind of skated on this earlier, and because again, part of the reason is we didn't want this to just solely focus on our new email builder that we came out with a few weeks ago. We wanted to focus holistically on how to send emails that actually get read by our people. But with this email builder, if you were using something like MailChimp or Constant Contact and paying them and paying $10, $20, $30 a month, now you have the ability to send out all your emails with ChurchTrac and create beautiful newsletters and all that to your people and not have to pay for it because it's already included with your subscription. Now, if you are on an older ChurchTrac plan, by the way, you'll just have to double check. It may say that you need to upgrade. So for some of you watching, that you may be in that boat where it's telling you need to upgrade to have access to that feature. So.
Zach asked, can we see the statistics of emails opened and links clicked, etc.? As of right now, no. There's not like the hard stats on the open and read rates in ChurchTrac, but send us a feature request.
Yeah.
You can do that by sending a ticket, by the way. I just made David switch back and forth really quick but anyway, just send us a ticket asking for a new feature and we will pass it on to the developers. Victoria said, can you make changes to a scheduled but not yet sent email?
To a scheduled but not yet sent email. That's actually a good question. I'd have to double check on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I haven't tested that.
I think you have to delete it. But here's the thing too, and this probably kind of preemptively answers another question I saw earlier. But let's say you're building out an email. So I'm building something out, and I realize, I need to like step away and everything. it's going to have that saved for so whenever you go back to it, it's auto-saved, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Unless you go use a template, it's going to override it, and it'll actually, tell you it's going to override it before you fully do it.
Yeah.
But save your things as templates too. If you're on that side of things where you're like, oh, I don't want to lose everything, just save it as a template real fast, because you can delete it at any time. You can have all the templates you want. So.
Eddie asked, are there email addresses through ChurchTrac, such as Reverend Eddie at ChurchTrac.com? You do get a email address with ChurchTrac, but you don't get multiple. You don't get one for each user. And you actually have the ability to customize the keyword in that email, everything before the @ symbol. To do that, you have to go to the Church Connect feature in ChurchTrac. And if you haven't done so yet, you'll see a notification in the bottom right-hand corner saying you need to create or set up a keyword. Just click that page setup tab at the very top. You'll see a prompt at the very top saying set up your keyword now. Click or customize your keyword now. Just click that, and then it'll create a keyword that you use in Church Connect as the subdomain. And that same keyword will be what's before the @ symbol in your email address for ChurchTrac. And that's the email that people will see as the sender for your newsletters and everything else that you send out through ChurchTrac.
Yeah, and I do want to just reinforce, so there's clarity with this. It doesn't mean that you have like an inbox and everything for your church. This is just outbound email for that. And whenever you set up that particular that keyword, like mine is the potential church, it's going to say that the potential church at churchtracmail.com for that. So that's kind of how that works.
So Lisa, you said that you're using small pictures, but when you open the email on a phone, it's fine, but on a desktop, the email loses its form, and some of the pictures are very large. Reach out to the support team so that we can look into that and offer some troubleshooting. I'm not able to diagnose that exactly in this live stream. MJ asked, and this is something that I think she was kind of getting at earlier. So the email builder templates are not available within the automations feature. No. So the automatic emails that you can automate in ChurchTrac are just the text-based emails, not the current email builder, the HTML ones.
That's a really good feature request, though.
Yes. I know I mentioned this earlier, but just click that help button, send us a support ticket, and request that, and we'll pass that on to the developers for them to consider.
So, fun fact, I had mentioned that whenever they were building the email builder, and they're like, we'll get to that. We got to get this thing launched.
All right, calm down. Okay, so Ken asked, where do you go to set up the brand? Terry, you answered that, but yes, it's in Canva. We recommend you create an account with Canva. The reason we recommend it is because it's very user-friendly. It's basically Photoshop for dummies. And I don't say that as an insult because I don't know Photoshop. I use Canva.
Yeah.
But you can create what's called a brand kit where you upload all of your church's assets, the logos, the color scheme, the fonts. That way it just makes it really easy to add those things to everything that you design in Canva. So it makes you look like a branding and graphic design wizard, basically.
Yeah.
So do that in Canva. That's the answer.
I can't stress enough just like having your defined colors and everything set up, and using those hex codes for your colors and copying and pasting that right into the builder.
Yeah.
So that way your buttons are going with the same color, your branding, your fonts, all that good stuff, and you're creating images. Yeah.
Let's see. Larry said, you have to delete and start over. You can also retrieve previous emails. Sent that as a feature request several months ago. Okay, cool. And Aaron asked, can you see past sent emails? You can see when the emails were sent and how many recipients there were, but you can't like reopen that email.
Yeah, like I've got recent emails here, which I actually haven't sent any in this particular account because it's
just a test account.
But yeah, it would show that in your recent emails.
All right, Paula, Wes said to incorporate the logo, you need to go to the administrative settings and bulk mail. Yes, so doing that just automatically adds your church's logo at the top. That way you're not having to redo that, or at least do it for every single template you create. It's just there. Yeah,
and not to nerd out too much in the whole logo thing, but depending on like what your church is trying to accomplish, you may have like here, I'll just show you. So like my logo here, it's white on a dark background, but you may have other emails where you're sending out something that has a light background with a dark logo. And so obviously in those situations, what you want to do is just build out your templates and have the different variants of it and everything. And I've already encountered this with some churches that are doing that. So
easy. Diane Snyder said, is there a do not reply to the email so the recipient knows there is no reply? No, because there can be a reply.
Yes.
So you'll notice in the very top, there's this reply to drop-down menu. Even though that email address that you get through ChurchTrac is just an outbound email thing, recipients to that email can reply back, and those responses will all go to the personal email inbox of whoever, whatever email is in that field there.
Yeah.
So that you can still gather replies, and whoever's in charge of that can still see that in real time.
Yeah, and this is a feature with ChurchTrac Mail. Now, if you are using one of our integrations and you're maybe using AWS, Simple Email, or something else, because we have a few different options for bulk email in ChurchTrac, but if you're using the built-in email, which most of you are just because you don't have to configure anything, it's ready to rock out of the box, that reply to is going to be great, which brings me to a point that we probably need to mention, Matt. And it's that when you are creating accounts, like your actual ChurchTrac account, you probably want to either have a dedicated email that you don't mind people replying to. And so, and also if your email is kind of, this sounds kind of ridiculous, but like if your email is like piano player 13 at gmail.com because you created it when you were 13 years old, like you probably want to,
We're all a little bit embarrassed by the email addresses we created when we were 12.
I'm proud to say that I didn't have to do any of that because I was one of the first people to get Gmail back in the day. That shows how a nerd I am. And so I was able to just use my name, which is kind of funny. But yeah, anywho. And what other questions we got? We have any other?
That's it. We're going to go ahead and call it here on the Q&A. If you have any further questions or if you think of anything later, don't hesitate to reach out to us in a support ticket or schedule a phone call. We would love to chat with you and make sure that your questions are answered about the email tool or anything else in the software.
Yeah, and just before we head out, everybody, just to reiterate, and I'm going to look at camera one, before you send out your email, make sure it has soul.
Soul.
All right, see y'all.